that needs to be had that is really above us, and I think that is the part that we really need to get to. So hopefully at All-Star we can have an opportunity and a conversation because at this time we something needs to change. It's actually disgusting. So I'm glad that Chelsea had an opportunity to speak up and had an opportunity to show that what we've been going through and we're going to continue to go through until we have that conversation. So
yeah, what you go through is nothing special. What you go through is nothing special, nothing unique, nothing that needs to be addressed, nothing that a conversation needs to be had about. It's just a bunch of WNBA players crying because a bunch of people that they don't know are saying mean things and leaving nasty messages in their DMs that they have the right to ignore in the first place.
This league never wanted to grow. They wanted the money, they wanted the viewers, but they wanted to still feel insulated. It goes back to the article that I covered on this channel a couple of years ago where they interviewed WNBA fans, old guard fans that had been a fan of this league, and they were talking about, yeah, we don't love the fact that now we go to the arena. Number one, prices that went up. Number two, it's not like it used to be. We used to actually get done watching games at the arena, and then we'd go to the club with the players.
Caitlin Clark delivered a performance for the history books against the Seattle Storm, erupting for a franchise record 45 points while also dishing out 10 assists. But the numbers alone don't tell the full story. That stat line made her the first player in WNBA history to record at least 40 points and 10 assists in a single game. Not just the first player in Indiana Fever history. Not just the first guard to accomplish it. The first player, period. And she did it in a league that's been making history for nearly 3 decades.
She tired of y'all talking about her. Oh, man, I knew it. I told my son, I say, bro, I believe Caitlin Clark is finna come in this game and just lay it down because of all of the media, all of these negative attention, these negative headlines that keep coming out about her each and every day.
What makes this performance even more remarkable is the context behind it. Clark wasn't even on the court for a full workload. Her minutes were limited to fewer than 30, yet she still exploded for 45 points and 10 assists. She didn't need 38 or 40 minutes to pile up numbers in garbage time. She reached those historic totals in a fraction of the usual playing time, making her scoring pace nothing short of incredible. Kelsey Mitchell also turned in an outstanding performance with 30 points, and together the two stars accounted for 75 of Indiana's 110 points. Seattle threw constant double teams at Clark, sending extra defenders her way nearly every time she touched the ball. It didn't matter. She continued to create offense, score at will, and control the game. This wasn't simply a night where every shot happened to fall. It was the kind of performance that separates elite players from everyone else on the floor, even when their teammates are playing exceptionally well.
Caitlin Clark was on a minutes restriction, and for being under 30 minutes, putting 45 points down, 10 assists. Actually, I know she got 6 stocks, but let's just see what exactly they were. She got 4 steals and 2 blocks, and I gotta tell you, she came in clutch.
As expected, naturally, the internet exploded the moment the final buzzer sounded. Within hours, highlights from the game had flooded every major platform, and no matter where you looked, the message was essentially the same. Caitlin Clark had once again done something the league had never seen before. Every incredible performance seems to spark another round of debates, comparisons, and endless analysis. But while everyone else is busy arguing over her place in the game, Clark keeps answering those conversations the only way that matters, by delivering on the court. The biggest talking point was impossible to ignore: a 40-point, 10-assist game, a statistical milestone that had never been achieved in WNBA history until now. Not by Diana Taurasi, not by Sue Bird, not by any of the all-time legends who have defined the league over the past 3 decades. That's just how extraordinary this performance truly was.
Asia Wilson sending a message to Caitlin Clark. I'ma see you at All-Star Weekend. And when I see you, we gon' talk. And it ain't gonna be just me. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be Chelsea Gray. It's gonna be all the activists in the WNBA. We're gonna come knocking on your front door at the hotel room and say, listen up, Caitlin. You need to come out and publicly denounce all of your fans. You need to come out and publicly say, if you guys are fans of me, you need to stop watching the
That's where the conversation starts to become more complicated, because this storyline didn't begin overnight. It's been developing for quite some time. Over the past year and a half, A'ja Wilson has repeatedly commented on the attention surrounding Caitlin Clark, less about Clark herself, and more about the massive spotlight that has followed her into the league. One of the most notable moments came during a Time magazine interview in December. Wilson said that the excitement surrounding Clark's arrival had for a moment overshadowed the WNBA's long history and the players who helped build it. She made it clear that she wasn't comfortable with that narrative. Wilson also chose her words carefully. She emphasized that her comments were not meant as a personal criticism of Clark. Instead, she explained that her concern was directed at the way some fans and media outlets seemed to overlook the generations of stars who had elevated the league long before Clark entered the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark, I'm sure you saw, just became the all-time scoring leader in women's college basketball. I'm curious, where would you rank her amongst all-time college players, in your opinion?
Ooh, that's tough because you got to win one. I feel like that college is one of those spaces where you got to win one for them to even have your name in the conversation. And it took me 3 years to win mine, so it's hard. But congratulations to her. I know my teammate KP was just like, yeah, that's huge. That's a lot of points, and that don't take that for granted. They were getting them up 100%. So congratulations to her. But I think she got to win her one to really kind of have her name in that. But I mean, she's always going to be a great player for Iowa and for the game as a whole. But yeah, winning one is pretty huge in college. So when she gets her one, if she gets her one, then y'all can have the conversation.
Wilson's perspective is understandable. With 3 WNBA championships and 4 MVP awards, she has unquestionably earned the credibility to speak about the league's history and the generations of players who helped shape it. Her accomplishments give weight to her opinions. At the same time, one pattern has become hard to ignore. Whenever a major news cycle centers around Caitlin Clark, whether it's a magazine feature, an award, or another headline-making performance, Wilson often finds herself commenting on the broader conversation. Her remarks frequently focus on how media attention is distributed, how fans recognize players, and the roles that race, privilege, and public perception play in shaping the league's narrative. That contrast has become a defining part of the ongoing discussion. On one side, there's an established superstar speaking about recognition, fairness, and the way the spotlight is shared across the WNBA. On the other, there's a young star making headlines with historic performances, like a 45-point, 10-assist masterpiece in fewer than 30 minutes, and allowing her play to drive the conversation.
I think that ultimately the issues around Caitlin Clark are not largely about officiating, and that particular incident is not about whether a foul should have been called at the time in the game or whether that was ultimately a flagrant on review. And I've come to know Caitlin really well. She's an incredible player and also an incredible person. And she wants to focus on being the best player she can. And she's become a bit of a political football in this country. And I think it's incredibly unfair to her. I don't think that issue is ultimately about officiating. It's sort of, it's become political ping pong with her. And she's a young woman who's trying to improve her game, right, focus on being the best player as she can. And I don't even think it's fair to her that this has become a separate storyline about one foul should have been called at the time or should have been called a flagrant after that.
Even NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has weighed in, and his comments carried more significance than many people realized. Speaking to reporters this past week, Silver addressed the constant attention surrounding Caitlin Clark, describing her as a political football. He also declined to directly answer a question about reports of a possible suspension stemming from one of her recent on-court interactions with officials. That choice of words was revealing. By calling Clark a political football, Silver was acknowledging that the conversation around her has grown far beyond basketball. She's no longer just being evaluated for what she does on the court. Instead, she has become the center of broader debates, with different groups projecting their own narratives onto her, often overshadowing the game itself.
Conceivable Silver and the Board of Governors from both leagues will escalate a review of her stats. You almost have to at this point. This league's a train wreck. Silver did not address his role in the Thomas suspension Tuesday, but sources familiar with the situation said Engelbert initially believed during the evaluation process that because no foul was called on the court against Thomas, a follow-up suspension seemed too steep of a discipline. Utter You have DEI officials who have no business officiating a junior high game. This is me talking, not the article. And everybody knows this. It's like in the NCAA. And these women and men and DEI hires of the WNBA are the worst of the
This also wasn't the first time Silver had publicly addressed a situation involving Clark. After Kennedy Carter's hard flagrant foul on Clark during the 2024 season, Silver described it as a welcome to the league moment. At the same time, he emphasized that the play wasn't unusual for a highly competitive league, and cautioned against turning the incident into something larger than it was. His comments helped keep the focus on basketball, rather than allowing the controversy to spiral. Now, the conversation has reached another level. When the commissioner is repeatedly being asked about reports involving one specific 23-year-old player, and is using phrases like political football to describe the attention surrounding her, it's clear that the spotlight on Clark isn't fading anytime soon. Regardless of how often players insist that the discussions aren't personal, the public fascination continues to grow. The optics are striking. One of the most influential executives in professional sports has found himself addressing questions about a single player. Not because of her statistics alone, but because the conversation around her has expanded far beyond the game itself. Commissioners rarely become this involved in an individual player's public narrative, unless that story has grown into something much bigger than basketball.
Is going to be very important for the W. They could come out of that weekend having a hell of a lot fewer fans. All right? And you may be like, well, they're going to run the homophobes and the racists off. No, they're going to run sports fans off that just don't want to hear about this bullshit. That understand if you put yourself in a public spotlight, you're going to get some creeps to come out. I mean, Caitlin Clark's had these stalkers. Sophia Cunningham's had these stalkers. You notice how nobody talks about that? The media doesn't talk